So an article uh, over a couple of days ago, I'm gonna have a link in the description. They basically talked about first things first and the possible replacement for Cris Carter and who they are recommending. We're going to be talking about that briefly, but before we begin in that, I want to segue into Cris Carter himself. It's amazing to me how people are now uploading videos talking about Cris Carter and his contract situation with Fox. You know, a lot of people made a lot of videos talking about how Cris Carter has been terminated. He lost his money. He lost his pay. Even though I was the first to let you guys know, not only I was the first to upload the video, but I was the first to inform you guys, even though he's terminated from Fox, there still is a process of a grievance hearing. And he may not get all of the money that was remaining on his contract, but he will get most of his money from his contract. And I also stated in that same video that, you know, Cris Carter, I told y'all the scenarios where Cris Carter may land on his new job. And I said the only the only place I see Cris Carter is a good fit and where he's connected by other friends that are working at this location is the NFL Network. And it's amazing how people are making videos talking about, oh, Deion Sanders is good friends with Cris Carter, and he's recommending Cris Carter to management as far as hiring him for the NFL Network. And there may be a possibility where Deion Sanders and Cris Carter has their own show premiering on the NFL Network. And I, basically laid all this stuff out weeks ago, and it's amazing how people are uploading videos last week talking about what I uploaded a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so I really do appreciate the people who are watching my video, even though you have a larger fan base as myself. I just wish that you guys, give me some type of credit. Okay, well, without further ado, let's get into today's topic. First things first, who is going to be co-hosting or is going to be the host next to Nick? Obviously, Nick Wright is the host, the star of the show, and they're trying to figure out who is going to be his co-host is. Now, a lot of people now in this article they say they stated that one of the possibilities could be Greg Jennings, and to me, I think Greg Jennings is a great contributor to, you see Greg Jennings on a lot of Fox network shows. First things first, Undisputed, The Herd, as well as Speak for Yourself. But when you talk about Greg Jennings is not that big splash that Fox is looking and seeking for as a replacement for Cris Carter. Okay, nothing against Greg Jennings, but he's just not that big signing for this show. And Fox with the new management at Fox is treating First Things First as a premier show, like Undisputed and Speak for Yourself and the Herd show. Now, in my opinion, FX1 really only has two shows that are big time, in my opinion, and that's Undisputed and The Herd show. Now, all the other shows like Speak for Yourself, First Things First, and Fair Game, I mean, they're okay shows, but they're not on the same stratosphere as Undisputed and The Herd show. Those are their two biggest shows on FX1. Now, this article, and I have the link in the description. You can read the article for yourself. They listed Greg Jennings. I don't see that as a big splash that management is looking for, to, try to, on social media, try to make a big splash on social media and try to top one, like, we replaced Cris Carter and we replaced him with such and such. Okay, so they're looking for that. All right, and I don't think Greg Jennings is that candidate. Now, Bart Starr has been also co-hosting on First Things First, filling in a time or two, as well as Chris Canty. Nothing against those two brothers, but they don't resonate to the average sports fan. I wouldn't title it as the average sports fan, I will title it as, a fair weather sports fan. Really only know certain sports stars, really don't pay attention to the games, but really pay attention to the articles and the buzz that that particular star or that particular show talks about. Okay. And Chris Canning and Bart Starr, who are great pro football players, they just don't resonate, and they're not. And to me, I don't see Fox looking at them as a big splash to retake the social media headlines or the trending topics. They've been on the trending topics on the wrong end. With Jamie Hardwicks, they had to get rid of him due to a sexual misconduct situation that took place at Fox at FX1. Cris Carter being let go, fired. They've been experiencing a lot of bad press. Not to mention the fact, Undisputed really hasn't resonated rating wise as competition to First Take. And the possibility of them maybe losing Skip Bayless when his contract is up, and there's a possibility, and there's a scenario where he could go back to ESPN, worldwide leader of sports, and pair up again with Stephen A. Smith, because Stephen A. Smith has already been locked down at ESPN. And I'm gonna give you a couple of names who I feel like they may be looking for. Now, word around campfire is, now this name, a lot of people are not going to be happy about this name, but this is what I've been hearing, particularly with upper management. They want to make a big splash, but they want to, do their own, make their own frontier, make their own trails, okay? Blaze their own trails. And one of the names I have heard as a replacement is Kristen Leahy. Now, for all those who are not aware of this female, she's a journalist, and she has her own show called Fair Game. Fair Game has been struggling in ratings, and in some situations, Fair Game hasn't even premiered on FX1 due to other things that FX1 want to promote, like shows and games and things of that nature. Basically, if you a true fan of Fair Game, if you want to watch the show itself, you pretty much have to watch it through their app. As something that they put into their app. Not actually watching it live, but even and all the shows are pre-recorded, by the way. I feel like upper management has a very strong connection with Kristen Leahy. Kristen Leahy she was on The Herd, and the older management decided to she had a lot of buzz with LeVar Ball, and when that blew up, Fox, I guess they found like a shining star in their own roster, and she was getting a lot of buzz. She was trending how she stood up to LeVar Ball, and which, by the way, anybody can stand up to him. But anyway, besides the fact, she blew up on social media, and I feel like Fox feels like that they would love to put her on First Things First because that is a good news from the perspectives of FS1, and that would be trending. And to me, as far as the dynamic between Kristen Leahy and Nick Wright, I know a lot of you guys call him Nick wrong. I just don't see the chemistry there, personally. It's going to take a while for them to build that, but I just don't see it a good cop, bad cop dynamic. When Cris Carter was there, on certain segments, they tried to make Nick Wright the bad cop. Okay, but in a lot of instances, it was a lot. The viewership considered Cris Carter the bad cop. Okay, because he was he was boisterous. He was braggadocious. He was feeling himself. His head couldn't fit the room. I mean, he was really drinking his own Kool-Aid, and I feel like that's sort of one of the reasons of his demise, where he no longer works for Fox Sports 1. He was really reading the clippings about him. He thought he was the ish. Okay, so Christian Leahy, I feel like that's where upper management wants to really put their that management, well, FX1, the new management, I feel like that's where they really want to go. But Christian Leahy, once again, she'll be in the same type of situation with Bart Starr and Christian Canny. I don't think the average viewer who watches FS1 or the average fan know who she is, okay? And if they do know who she is, they're going to consider her as a moderator. And when sports entertainment and the one label you can't escape is moderator. I feel like, shows should have a moderator. I think the moderator is more important than the host itself. Okay. The moderator, dictates the tempo and dictates the discussions and move away from topics or get to topics. I feel like the moderator is just as important as the host. But the average fan view moderators as, not skillful. They're not the star. And they also consider them as, show killers. Okay, they rather for them to just say a few words and then just and allow the two hosts to be the show, be the ticket, so to say, on the hot topics, the hot topics. So. I feel like Christian Leahy, they want to go that route, but she's in the same boat, in the same position as Bart Starr, and I forgot the other guy's name. Greg Jennings, and she's it's going to be hard to promote that to the viewership, and a lot of your average fan is not going to get why they would allow her to also co-host First Things First. But that's pretty much the direction new management wants to go to. Now, I'm going to give you guys a name that Fox, if they haven't already talked to this guy, I'm pretty sure they're going to have an interview with him. And that is Michael Smith. Michael Smith, he used to work at ESPN. He recently accepted a buyout from ESPN, and he's pretty much doing his own independent thing as of right now. Fox would love to have Michael Smith for several reasons. One, he's that big splash you was looking for, okay? He's a name that, Michael Smith's name resonates to social media as well as sports entertainment. Everyone knows Michael Smith, okay? The average or the non-average fan knows something about Michael Smith. I feel like his name will electrify in sports media, and they will consider that their big smash, their big splash. And to be completely honest with you guys, I feel like Michael Smith is a bigger name than Cris Carter, okay? The only reason why Cris Carter was the star of First Things First was because of old management, okay? Because of the relationships he had with the older management, Jamie Horowitz and them. And that's why he got to star in his own show. He gets to handpick his cast. And they wanted a star-studded cast at First Things First. But Cris Carter wanted Nick Wright or Nick Wrong, or whichever way y'all want to label this guy. And, I forgot the other lady's name. Jesus, she's like a moderator. And I think she does a bang-up job. I apologize about, Jenna Wolfe. Jenna Wolfe, he handpicked those two. And the average fan doesn't even know either one of them. But Cris Carter picked them. Jamie Horowitz and the old management wanted a star-studded cast, sort of like Undisputed. Okay, you got Shannon Sharp and you got Joy Taylor, the attractive moderator. I'm talking about the original Undisputed, and Skip Bayless, and that tandem was a good, successful tandem. Now, since then, Jenny Kraft is now the moderator, and Joyce Smith is with Colin Cowherd. Okay, so I feel like Christian Leahy is where management really want to go to, but I also feel like if that's not the route they really want to really forego and take, I feel like Michael Smith will be a safer pick. And that will be a name that will be a bigger splash on social media and sports entertainment. Okay, another name I have heard is in their own camp, and that is Chris Broussard. Chris Broussard, he's already under contract. He's already with Fox. Now Chris Broussard. He used to work for ESPN. That's another plus, and that's another reason why they would want Michael Smith too. Former employees of ESPN. That's pretty much the recipe of success what Fox Sports 1 has done. They are a copy and paste network, and they'll take anybody that used to work at ESPN that had any type of clout or credit or a big name that they will love to take. Michael Smith, and they already have Chris Broussard under contract. Now, currently, he's with The Odd Couple, but that's a late night show. It's mostly a radio show. Now, there have been reports that seem to suggest that when Fox Sports 1 is going to be bought out, and Viacom is probably a someone that wants to buy Fox Sports 1, but who truly wants to buy Fox Sports 1 is Disney. And Disney owns the ABC show as well as ESPN, and they have enough capital and enough money to purchase Fox Sports 1. And there have been reports out there that seem to suggest that they're going to once they buy Fox Sports 1, they're going to break up a lot of things that they feel like are not going to be necessary. And I heard that as far as the radio shows that like Doug Gottlieb's show, that's a radio show, The Odd Couple, a lot of those radio shows, if they don't convert them into shows of their own on FS1 and they just primarily radio shows, they're going to let them be bought out from someone else now, from somebody else. Now, Magic Johnson has been in the news of buying those radio shows, and I remember reading an article about that over the summer. I don't know if he's still interested in purchasing those radio shows. One would never know, okay? But Chris Broussard will be an excellent, a big splash for Fox Sports 1 with new management. Now, I feel like it's not going to be a good cop, bad cop situation because Nick Wright and, to me, Nick Wright and Chris Broussard are on point with a lot of discussions. They're LeBron lovers. They're LeBron supporters. Okay, so you're not going to have a dynamic where one is hyping up LeBron and the other one is doesn't feel like LeBron is the GOAT. Things of that nature. You're not going to have that type of dynamic. I feel like a lot of the big discussions they are in agreement with. Okay, so I feel like the chemistry is going to be good. I feel like they have great chemistry. Chris Broussard has been on First Things First as an NBA analyst. He also have hosted a handful of shows. I feel like that will be an excellent tandem, but I feel like First Things First will be more of instead of a debate show, it'll be an agreement show. There'll be, Nick Wright will talk about a topic, and Chris Broussard will, concur. So, the dynamic, the good cop, bad cop dynamic will clearly cease to exist. Now, like I said earlier in the video, they had certain segments when Cris Carter was there. They was trying to make Nick Wright a Skip Bayless of First Things First. Okay. And, there are going to be topics where they'll have to agree to disagree, but I don't think they're going to be argumental topics where they're going to be arguing back and forth and yelling and things of that nature. Okay. But I feel like those are going to be the two names that the management at FX1 is looking for. Michael Smith, if they can somehow land him, or Chris Broussard. Now, I feel like the Chris Broussard angle, that should have already happened, okay? And right now, they're in a stage of trying different personalities to see which one would fit. Now, the only reason why I feel like the Chris Broussard thing hasn't happened yet is I feel like they probably already talked to Chris Broussard, and I feel like Chris Broussard is pretty much happy with his situation as of right now, okay? He pretty much floats. He does his car wash on FX1. He will appear on a lot of their shows as an NBA analyst, and then he will do the radio show. I think he's very happy with that situation, okay? And I feel like either they came to Chris Broussard and he said he declined it, or they already know that Chris Broussard is probably not going to take the First Thing First show. Okay. The Michael Smith thing could possibly happen. Now, I know FX1 was waiting to the end of this year, and they was praying and hoping that ESPN did not sign Stephen A. Smith. Now, there have been talk that if Stephen A. Smith was a free agent, and he always had discussions that he wanted to partner up with Skip Bayless, that was one of the things FX1 was banking on. Maybe he becomes a free agent. They offer him a boatload of money. He signs to Fox, and then he pairs up with his old colleague Skip Bayless. And then that a lot of people will think, well, that will leave Shannon Sharpe, out of the loop. Well, out of the loop of Undisputed, but they will renegotiate Shannon Sharpe, give him a bigger contract, and let him have his own show, which would have been First Things First. Okay, so they have already had this planned out from the word go. Even before them firing Cris Carter, this was really the play and the move they wanted to make. And unfortunately, Stephen A. Smith has signed to ESPN, so that's not going to happen. Okay, so they're working on their plan B, C, and D. Okay, so I gave you guys what's been going on. I also gave you guys my opinions on what should take place, and I feel confident that it's either Michael Smith or Chris Broussard. Okay, now yes, they can throw a monkey in the wrench and give it to Bart Scott, and Greg Jennings. They could literally just let them be the host of First Things First, okay? But I feel like they're looking for a big splash, and if they give it to those two guys, that will lead me to believe that they have explored the other options and they respectively declined. Now, Christian Leahy will not decline. Okay, now if they offer her that position, she's going to take it. Okay, no ifs, ands, or buts. Now, Michael Smith will probably respectfully decline it. Okay, and that's more like a waiting game. Waiting out what's what's going to be beneficial for Michael Smith. Now, he has money in the bank, but everyone loves more money, okay? But he's not in a rush to just get into something. And with the situation he had with ESPN, he sees the situation going on with Fox. You remember now, a lot of these ex ESPN analysts and hosts went to FX1, and they all had the same motto. Well, at Fox, at Disney, you had to watch what you say at ESPN, because Disney owns ESPN. It's a family-run show, so you couldn't really talk about other topics besides sports, and that's why they stage left ESPN and went to Fox. Okay, but now with new management, they're setting things up at FX1 where it's sort of similar to ESPN. You can't really go into real serious topics. If you've been noticing the decline on what they've been talking about, they just been strictly about sports. Okay, and I think that's the reason why they're going that route is FX1 is possibly going to be bought out, and the two corporations I see with enough that's interested in FS1 is Viacom and Disney. And I feel like Disney is going to ultimately take it. I don't think Viacom wants it that badly, okay? But if Disney takes FS1, and that's going to be another video for another day, man, the landscape of sports entertainment and sports media is going to change overnight, okay? So those are the names I have heard. Now, the other name. Now, I know a lot of people want to know. I forgot that girl's name. I had her name in my brain. She was the host. Oh, God. Well, Michelle Beadle. A lot of people were talking about Michelle Beadle. I don't see another sports network signing Michelle Beadle. And I feel like Michelle Beadle, I feel like her name is iconic. I think it's a name that can put butts in seats, okay? And she could be that good cop, bad cop, even on First Things First. But I feel like Michelle Beadle is happy. I don't think she's really in a rush to get back into the grind of sports network. And she knows where her bread is buttered. She knows that when she was at ESPN, she was a bigger name at ESPN than she was at NBC. When she went to NBC for like a cup of coffee, it just wasn't hitting well with NBC. And she got out of that contract to go to ESPN, and then she finagled ESPN as far as signing an extension, and now they pretty much bought her out as well. Okay, so it is what it is. I apologize for the video to be extremely long, but I gave you a lot of jewels in this video that you could be entertained by. Okay, so real fast, real quick before I end this video, I apologize in advance that I haven't uploaded a video in quite some time now. Your boy been busy, okay? Your boy has been extremely busy, okay? So I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving, even though it's, it's been, that was last week. And I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.